Hi everyone, this is Rachel Kleinman with Hero Arts, and today I will be making 3 ATCs, artist trading cards, with this adorable die set called Boo to You. This die set is part of the new Hocus Pocus collection. It's such a great collection, so I'll be mixing and matching some of the other pieces as well. But here I am putting my ghosts together, getting their witches' brooms and their witches' hats together. And yeah, now it's time to just piece everything. So we'll go through this quickly. I'm adding little pieces of black cardstock behind their eyes and their mouth to help that show through. I find that's the easiest way to get the eyes, is to just put a piece of cardstock on the back rather than individually gluing on each little dot of their adorable but spooky little faces. Now I'm just adding their little blushy cheeks. And to get the witches' brooms put together, I do want to add some shading. Since the die is pretty simple, I want to give it just a little more detail. So I'm ink blending some spicy mustard ink on the edges. And then with the broomstick, I'm adding caramel ink. Do you think caramel is 2 syllables or 3? How do you pronounce that word? And now I will start the ATCs. So this stencil is from last year's Halloween release. It's called Halloween Words. I'm going over it with some Hero Paste in Pearl. And I'll be using Hero Paste glitter paste on the other ones. But I do want to tell you a little bit about ATCs. So ATCs are actually the same size as your traditional baseball card. They are 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and they are intended to be little mini works of art that you give to a friend, or maybe you do a swap. I like to put mine in, we have a little free library in the neighborhood that's actually a little free artist library, so that's where a lot of my ATCs end up, or just put them around the house. They are mini pieces of art. And mine tend to lean towards the mixed media side, so let's jump right in. I am using some creamsicle reactive ink onto my glass mat, and you see I just spritzed it with water. And now that the paste is dry on my ATCs, I'm going to just dunk it in. So I'm just going to smear some of that ink around. You can see with the stencil being raised from the paste, that's where most of the ink is staying, and I actually really like how that looks. We'll add a little more to it later. For my second ATC, I'm using the Key Lime Fizz reactive ink, and then the last ATC, which used the Star Stencil, layering stencil from the Hocus Pocus collection, and that one's going to be in Grape Slush. And spread some of that ink around because it wasn't quite getting in the nooks and crannies. And now I've got my splatter box out, so you know it's going to be fun, and I'm adding on some of the metallic sprays. So that was the orange metallic spray, this is the yellow metallic spray, and then the last one will be the royal purple. So you see when I'm spraying them, I am still leaving some, it's not white space because I colored it, but I'm leaving the space from the inking that we did before. This technique I wanted to share with you all. It's something that I've been doing for years and years and years back in my art journaling days. This is a spool of tulle that I got from a dollar store. I don't even know how long ago, but I accidentally learned one day that it melts with my heat gun. So yes, please be very cautious and safe if you are planning on doing this technique, but I really loved how when it got hot, it kind of manipulated itself into a little ribbony, sparkly tulle ball, and it just ends up being perfect for mixed media cards. So I have that orange piece that I stapled on there. You'll see a gold piece that I add to another one later. But if you want to test that out, please be very careful because it gets hot. Now I'm using a new product. This is called Black Acrylic Speckle Ink. So I just put a little dot onto an old acrylic block that I use for this technique specifically, sprayed a little bit of water very carefully, and then I picked my favorite fan brush to kind of just splatter that black ink right on top of these ATC cards. Now that is acrylic paint, so it will not wash out. Be very careful while you're splattering. Now for the sentiments of my ATCs. I'm using this amazing set called Spooky Season Letterpress and Foil Cut. So you can do both. When I get a letterpress and foil cut set, you see I just go crazy. I make all the sentiments and all the different colors and foils and inks that I have, and then I die cut them and save them for later. This makes it very easy to mix and match, or mix and match according to what size sentiment you might need. It's very, very handy to just do a bunch at once and keep them for later. So this one will be just the little ghost with a witch hat and say trick or treat. So that one was foiled with some silver metallic foil. Now for the orange ATC, we're going to have the Season of the Witch. This one was also foiled with gold. And then we glue that ghosty on there. And now for the sentiment, I wanted to pop it up. So I die cut just the cut you see there. And then I'm going to stack them on top of each other to give it some dimension. Since the sentiment is so detailed, I didn't want to mess with cutting a bunch of little foam tape pieces for that. So I'm just going to stack them all on top with some glue. And now we build this one with the little baby mini ghosts. So they are all about the Hocus Pocus, which is perfect because that is the name of the most recent Halloween collection with all of these, well, most of these beautiful items that I've used today. This one also is from last year. It's a beautiful die set called Haunted Romance Fancy Dies. I just wanted to show that because I die cut those little bats. So if you want little bat detail, that is the perfect die. And you see I added them here. These are the finished ATCs. If you need large bats, we have a Bat Infinity die as well. And there's the Hocus Pocus. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've inspired you to test out some ATCs, maybe get messy, get inky. Again, this was Rachel Kleinman for Hero Arts. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.